want to talk about the presentation of the gospel on social media, and I think whenever we do that, we also need to talk about the posture of our presentation and our attitude as we present the gospel. And in my context today, I'll primarily be talking about the larger church, but I realize that I think the same principles that we're going to talk about really apply to whether you're in a nonprofit or a business or whatever, that we can talk about these same principles and use them really to build trust and relationship with people in our community. And I think everyone probably knows and is seeing the effect and how powerful of a tool social media can be. And I think we first need to remember that it is just that, it's a tool. It's neither inherently good or bad. How we use that tool, what we do with that tool can have great effects and devastating effects. And social media really is a very powerful double-edged sword. And I think we've seen in even recent history with events going on around the world where social media can have negative effects, right? Where people can stand behind their computer or get out their phone and they can very quickly, throw a hand grenade onto a situation that's already on fire and just watch it explode even more. And I think there's a lot of things that we need to be cautious of in that. But I think on the other hand, social media can be an extremely powerful tool to really help us convey what it is that we're really about and what we want to do and the good that we're trying to do in the community. And that's really what I want to focus on today. And I think anytime we talk about a gospel movement, we talk about the plan or a blueprint, I think we got to go back and look at the Gospels, right, and see what Jesus did. And as you look at Jesus' career or time on earth, we see, especially in Matthew, over and over again, there was a formula that Jesus followed. And Matthew even uses some of the same phrases over and over again throughout Scripture. And in Matthew 4, it says, Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues, proclaiming the good news of the kingdom, and healing every disease and sickness among the people. And what happened? You saw people from all over, from Judea, Galilee, from across the Jordan. They started flocking to hear what was going on. And if I could boil down that blueprint into a few key things, the first thing I would say is every time Jesus went into a town, the first thing, what did he do? He met the people where they were at. He helped solve their needs. He healed them, he took care of them, and by doing so, he built trust. He built trust in the community, and then it was from that trust that he was able to say, and here's the good news of the gospel. Here's the good news of the gospel and the kingdom that's coming. And then what happens? The third thing that he does at the end of Matthew, we see the Great Commission, where he invites us all to do the same thing. And I think what most people think about when they think of social media is that second one, sharing the gospel message. I have this great microphone now. I can, from my phone, access millions of people and send this message out. Woohoo, let's go, right? And what I would say and what I would caution us on pumping the brakes a little bit and say, we need to make sure that we start with number one, that we're meeting people in our communities where we're at, that we're building the trust of the people around us. I think in the church context, we need to be asking the question, if the church were to leave tomorrow, if we weren't to exist tomorrow, would the community around us know it? Would they know that we're gone? And I think we got to be honest with ourselves, and sometimes probably the answer is we need to be doing a better job first of building the trust in the community before then we can share the gospel message. So what I'd say in presenting the gospel on social media, let's avoid using social media to broadcast doctrine. Or just throw out our beliefs and use it as a microphone. And what I'd say is first, let's take it and let's strive to use social media to build trust from our actions. Let's talk about what we're doing, about ways that we're trying to engage the community around us and start building trust and relationships with those around us. Now, like I said, whenever you talk about the presentation, we also have to talk about our attitude and the attitude that we're bringing in the posture of that presentation. And what I would say is, let's avoid coming across as though we have all the answers and we don't need anyone's help. I think sometimes we can, especially, I've seen churches do this a lot, no one here, but I've seen, it's kind of that Superman mentality, right? It's kind of like, hey, we're going to swoop in on this issue, on this problem, we're going to come in because we have all the answers and we're going to do this for you, get out of our way. And I think Sometimes we convey that even in our messaging, and it can be harmful to those outside the church. And I'd say instead, let's strive to be humble and to invite others to help us address the needs of our community, to recognize, hey, we don't have all the answers, but we're here and we're present and we want to collaborate because there's things that we as a community can all agree on. We can all agree that ending human trafficking is a good thing. We can all agree that our schools probably need help. We can agree that ending homelessness as much as possible in today's context is a good thing. And let's agree on those and let's build that trust in our relationships. Let me give you one example, because I'm sure some of you are saying, that sounds great, that sounds utopian. How do we do that? How do we go about doing this? And then just one example that I'll give you is a video that came out a few years ago by Invisible Children called Coney 2012. Now, some of you probably have some different thoughts on Invisible Children. I don't want to focus on that, but I want to focus on what made this video so successful. Okay, this video was seen within 3 days of its release, had 40 million views. Okay, it's a 30-minute video. Today, there's over 100 million views on YouTube. Time called it the most viral video ever in the history of the internet. PBS said that it was one of the most important events internationally in 2012. A poll showed that over half of our youth in America, imagine this, over half of our youth in America knew of this video within days of its release. How did that happen? That doesn't happen by accident. And if you go back a few years before when Invisible Children's first video came out, how did they get the word out? They put people in vans, and they sent them out across America, city by city, town by town. They held rallies. They brought our youth in and said, hey, there's this army in northern Uganda, and they're doing these evil things. It's called the LRA. And we want to bring, no one knows about it. We want to tell you about it and what's going on, and we want to raise awareness. And this is the important part. But we can't do it on our own. We want to bring down that army, and we can't do it on our own. We're just a bunch of guys making films. But we want to raise awareness and support, and you can help us, and this is how you can get involved. And in our nation, city by city, town by town, the youth of our nation said, I want to help those kids halfway across the world that are just like me, that are being forced to do evil things, and I want to get involved. And Invisible Children's Facebook following right now is over 3.5 million people. They have a huge following because they took the time, they built the trust, they built the relationship, and they said, follow us on social media and follow us in what we're doing and how you can be a part and how you can join us in that fight. And when the Coney 2012 video came out, what happened? It blew up. It became a national sensation to the point where our president enacted. He stood up and he said, I'll send troops, I'll send aid. And the LRA in northern Uganda is a fraction of what it used to be. And many people say that it's on its last legs. And in large part, that's because of the trust and the relationships that was built up with a media company with millions of youth, inviting them in to collaborate and using social media as the medium to communicate. It's a powerful tool. David earlier talked about millennials. And the one thing I'll say about millennials, and this is very true on social media, don't tell me what you believe, because I'm tired of listening to people talk. Show me what you believe. Show me what you're doing to tell me. That will tell me what you believe. If you show me and you're actually doing it, then I will believe and then I will understand who you are, what you're about.